So hello everyone, my name is Anish and my ID number is 22DCE038. Today I am going to explain RAD model. It is a rapid application development model. RAD is basically a sequential software development process model that emphasizes more on uh, it emphasizes concise development cycle using an element-based construction approach. If the requirements are well understood and described, and the projection scope is a constraint. The R&D process enables a development team to create a fully functional system with a concise time period. So now we are going to discuss R&D is a concept that produces can be developed faster and of higher quality through gathering requirements, uh, and like we can see that prototyping and early reiterative user testing of designs and the reuse of software components like this we can see this then a rigidly paced schedule that refers design improvements to the next product version, less formality in reviews and other team communication. So as we can see, this is the diagram of RAD model, which step by step involves business modeling first, then data modeling, then process modeling, then application generation, and then testing and turnover, which is a art of a testing. The various phases of RAD model are as follows. First is business modeling. The information flow among business functions is defined and by answering questions like what data drives the business process and what data is generated, who generates it, where does the information go, who processes it, and so on. Data modeling, the data collected from business modeling is refined into a set of data objects entities, like we can see this, that are needed to support the business. The attributes, character of each entity are identified and the relation between these data objects is defined. Okay. And the process modeling, the information object defined in the data modeling phase are transformed to achieve the data flow necessary to implement a business function. Processing descriptions are created for adding, modifying, deleting, or retrieving a data object. પછી application generation, automated tools are used to facilitate construction of the software. Even they use the fourth GL techniques like this. પછી testing and turnover, many of the programming components have already been tested in RAD emphasis reuse. This reduces the overall testing time, but the new part must be tested and all interfaces must be fully exercised. When to use RAD model? When the system should need to create a project that modularize in short span time, 2 to 3 months. પછી when the requirements are well known. પછી when the technical risk is limited. Then when there is a necessity to make a system which modularized in 2 3 months of period, it should be only if the budget allows the use of automatic code generating tools. Advantage of RAD model, this model is flexible for change. In this model, changes are adaptable. Each phase in RAD brings highest priority functionality to the customer. It reduces development time. It increases the reusability of features. But the disadvantages of RAD model, it requires highly skilled designers. Then all applications is not compatible with RAD. For smaller projects, we cannot use the RAD model. On the high technical risk, it's not suitable, require user involvement. The application of RAD model, business modeling, the information flow is identified between different business functions. Data modeling. Information collected from business modeling is used to define the data objects that are required for the business. Process modeling. Data objects defined in data modeling are converted to establish the business information flow to achieve specific business objective. Process descriptions for adding, deleting, modifying data objects that are given. Application generation. The actual system is created and coding is done by using automation tool that converts the overall concept, process and related information into actual desired output. This output is called prototype as it is still half baked. Testing and turnover. The overall testing cycle time is reduced in the R&D model as the prototypes are independently tested during every cycle. Now we are going to learn about spiral model. The overview is the spiral model initially proposed by Boehm is an evolutionary software process model that couples the iterative feature of prototyping with the controlled and systematic aspects of the linear sequential model. It implements the potential for rapid development of new versions of the software. Using the spiral model, the software is developed in a series of incremental releases. During the early iterations, the additional release may be a paper model or prototype. During later iterations, more and more complete versions of the engineered systems are produced. So diagram of a spiral model, we can see this. Like this is cost part, which is in the center. Then we can see this is a risk. There are different steps like risk management and prototypes and etc. Each cycle in the spiral is divided into 4 parts. First is objective setting. Each cycle in the spiral parts with the identifications of purpose for that cycle, the various alternatives that are possible for achieving the targets and the constraints that exist. Risk assessment and a reduction. The next phase in the cycle is to calculate these various alternatives based on the goals and the constraints. The focus of the evaluations in this stage is located on the risk perception for the project. The next phase, which is development and validation, is to develop the strategies that revolve uncertainties and risk. This process include activities like benchmarking, simulations, and prototyping, planning. Finally, the next step is planned. The project is reviewed and the choice made whether to continue with the further period of the spiral. If it is determined to keep, plans are drawn for the next step of the project. When to use spiral model? When deliverance is required to be frequent, but uh, when the project is large, then when requirements are unclear and complex, when changes may require at any time, large and high budget projects. So advantages are risk handling, uh, then good for large projects, flexibility in requirements, customer satisfaction, iterative and incremental approach, and flexibility and adaptability in response to change requirements or unexpected events. Emphasis on risk management and improved communications and improved quality. And on the other hand, the disadvantages are it is complex, it is expensive, it is too much in dependability on risk analysis and difficulty in time management, complexity of and time consuming, and it is resource intensive. Applications of spiral model. When a project is vast in software engineering, a spiral model is utilized. Spiral model is utilized when frequent releases are necessary, when it is appropriate to create a prototype, when evaluating risk and cost is crucial. The spiral approach is beneficial for projects with moderate to high risk. The SDLC's spiral model is helpful when requirements are complicated and ambiguous. If modifications are possible at any moment, when committing to a long-term project is impractical owing to shifting economic priorities. So, thank you and have a nice day.
Hello everyone, I am Janil, my ID number is 22DCE025. Today I am talking about iterative model which is included in agile models. So in basically iterative model, first we make a software, then we need to change software, then we upgrade the software by iteration. The various phases of iterative model are as follows. First is requirement gathering and analysis. So in this phase, requirement are gathered from customers and checked by analyst, which requirement are fulfilled by us or not. Afterwards, the software team skips to the next phase. Second is design. In this phase, software team makes design. Third is implementation. In this phase, requirements are written in the coding language and transfer into computer programs which are called software. Four is testing. In this phase, our team testing the software and find which is the mistake are in or not. Fifth is deployment. If software is ready, then we deploy the software. Sixth is review. In this phase, product deployment review phase is performed to check the behavior and validity to develop product, and if there are any error found, then the process start again from requirement gathering. And seven is management. In this phase, after deployment of software, the working environment, there may be some bugs, some errors, and new updates are required. Maintenance involves debugging and new additions options. This is a diagram for iterative models. In this model, we see that first iteration will be made the software, and at the review time, if any error are found in software, then we start from again. And this is a diagram for the iterative model. When to use the iterative model? First, when requirements are defined clearly and easy to understand. Second is software application is large, and third is there is requirement of change in future. Advantage of iterative model: first is testing and debugging during smaller iteration is easy. Second is parallel development can plan. Third is it is easily acceptable to ever changing needs of project. Fourth is risks are identified and resolved during iteration. Fifth is limited time spent on documentation and extra time on designing. Disadvantages of iterative models are follow: it is not suitable for smaller projects. Second is more resources may be required. Third is design can be changed again and again because of imperfect requirements. Fourth, requirement changes can cause over budget. And fifth is project completion date not confirmed because of changing requirements. Application of iterative waterfall model is following. In this model, could be building new website for small businesses. The process might look like this. Second is Apple has released multiple different versions of each model of its iPod products. The Nano, for example, has evolved from an original slim MP3 player with a very small screen to a tiny square touchscreen version to a longer, thinner touchscreen version, 7th now 2020. Second model of agile model is a prototype model. The prototype model requires the before carrying out the deployment of actual software. A working prototype of the system should be built. A prototype is a toy implementation of the system. Diagram for the prototype model is below. This is the diagram for prototype model. Steps of a prototype model is first is requirement gathering and analysis. Second is a quick decision. Third is build a prototype. Fourth is assessment or user evaluation. Fifth is prototype refinement. Sixth is engineer product. Now we see that that is the advantage of prototype model. First is reduce the risk of incorrect user requirement. Second is good where requirement are changing uncommitted. Third is regular visible process ads management. Fourth is support early products marketing. Fifth is reduce maintenance cost, and sixth is errors can be detected much earlier as the system is made side by side. Disadvantage of a prototype model is this is a unstable implemented prototype often becomes the final product. Difficult to know how long the project will last. Easy to fall back into the code and fix without proper requirements analysis, design, customer evaluation, and feedback. And the fifth is prototyping tools are expensive. And the applications of the prototype model is swapping website is also an example where prototyping approach can be implemented. Second is wireframes, slides, landing pages, working models, and interactive front end and videos. Thank you.
So my name is Smith and my ID number is 22DCE031. Today I am going to explain agile software developments in software engineering. So it's a software development methodology that values flexibility, collaboration and customer satisfaction. It's only dependent on customer satisfaction, and it's also iterative and incremental approach to software development that emphasizes the importance of delivering a working product quickly and frequently. And it also prioritizes individual and interactions, customer collaboration, and responding to change. And so, further principles of Agile: the highest priority is to satisfy the customers through early and continuous deliver to valuable software. So we need to complete our work in a certain time period so customer can satisfy. It welcomes changing requirement even late in development, and also never give up on excellence, and we have to take advantage to of change to gain a competitive edge, and build a project around motivated individual, give them the environment and the support they need, and trust them to get the job done. So the agile development process, so it contains six stage: that planning, development, testing, maintenance, deployment, and requirement gathering. So first one is requirement gathering. The customer's requirement for the software are gathered and prioritized. First of all, we all need to gather the customer's requirement, what he or she want to do. That was prioritized. Planning, it's an important part of the agile software development. We need to plan to delivering the software, including the features that will be delivered in each iteration. Development, the teams need to build the software using frequent and rapid iteration. It has to be done in rapid mode. Testing, it's important part of the agile development methodology. The software is thoroughly tested to ensure that it meets the customer's requirement of the high quality. Deployment, the software is deployed and put into use. Maintenance, the software is maintained to ensure that it continues to meet customers' needs and expectations. The agile software development cycle, so it has stage. First one is concept, inceptions, interaction, construction, release, production, return. uh, First of all, we need to meet our client, then planning, we have to do design, development, testing, and evaluate. It's a basically a agile software development cycle. So advantage, so the software is quicker and thus helps in increasing the trust of the customer. The important thing is to achieve the trust of the customers, and can better adapt to rapidly changing requirements and respond faster. And it enhance customer satisfaction and increase collaborations and communications. Helps in getting immediate feedback which can be used to improve the software in the next increment. Disadvantage, in the case of large software project, it is difficult to access the effort required at the initial stage of software development lifecycle. And in agile method, face-to-face communications is harder in large-scale organization, and is more code focus on product-led documentations, and only senior programmer can capable of making and take a kind of decisions requiring during the process. and it is highly likely that the project to get take off track. Applications to web development, mobile app development, e-commerce, startup, finance and banking, game development, and healthcare software. So further we are discuss about SDLC V model software engineering. So the V model is a software development cycle that provides a systematic and visual representation of a development process. It's called as V model because the cycle of this is in the shape of V, with two legs of V representing the propagation of software development process from requirement gathering and analysis to design. It's executed in a sequence manner on a V shape. It is also known as verifications and validation model. It is based on association of testing phase for each corresponding development state. So V model design to requirement gathering and analysis. So the first phase of V model is to requirements gathering analysis. In as we can see in agile is the same as agile. We has to gathering our client's requirement and analysis them. And customers requirement for the software are gathered and analyzed to determine scope of project. So design, though in the design phase, software architecture and design are developed, including the high level design and detail. The design should be durable and it should satisfy by customer. Implementation. In the implementation phase, software is actually built based on the design. Testing. It's an important stage, and software is tested to ensure that it meets the customer's requirement and is of high quality. The other one is maintenance. So it's maintained to ensure that it continues to meet customers' needs and expectation. So this is a diagram of a V model. Advantage of V model. It's easy to understand. Taking methods like planning, test designing happens well before coding, and it's all avoid downward flow of defects. Works well for small plants where requirements are easily understood. Disadvantage: so very rigid and least flexible. It's not flexible in compare of agile methodology. Not a good for a complex project. It is good, but only for a small project, but not made for complex or big project. It's developed during implementation stage, so no early prototype of software are produced, as we discussed. If any change happen in midway, then the test documentation along with the required document has to be updated. And the last one is the application of V model. It's a small to medium size project, critical system and safety critical software, waterfall like project, contact based development, project with stable requirement, training and documentation empathy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Krunal Gadia, and today I am explaining about waterfall model. Winston Royce introduced waterfall model in 1970. This model has five phases. First one is requirement analysis and specification. Second one is design phase. Third one is implementation and unit test. And fourth one is integration and system testing. And five, operate operations and maintenance phase. These are waterfall models applications. First one is when the requirements are constant and not changed regularly. Second one is a project is short. Third one is the situation is claimed. Fourth one is where the tools and technologies used is constant and not changing. Fourth one is when resources are well prepared and where available use. Advantage of waterfall model is this model is to simply implement also the number of resources that are required for is minimal. The requirements are simple and explicitly declared. They remain unchanged during the entire project development. The start and end points for each phase is fixed, which makes it easy to cover progress. The release date for the complete product as well as its final cost can be determined before development. It gives easy to control and clarity for the customer due to strict reporting system. Disadvantage of waterfall. In this model, the risk factor is higher, so this model is not suitable for more significant and complex projects. This model cannot accept the changes in requirements during development. It's become thought to go back to the phase. For example, if the application has now shifted to the coding phase and there is change in requirement, it become thought go back and change it. Next model is incremental. Incremental is a process of software development where requirements divided into multi-standalone models of the software development. There are 5 phases. First one is requirement analysis. Second one is design and development. Third one is testing. Fourth one is implementation. When we use the incremental model, when the requirements are superior, a project has a length development schedule. When software team are not very well skilled or trained, advantage of incremental model. Errors are easy to be recognized, easier to test and debug, more flexible, simple to manage risk because it handled during its iteration. The client gets important functionality early. Disadvantage of incremental model. Need for good planning, total costing is high, and well-defined module interface are needed. Thank you.